Chelsea fans, have we found our perfect partner for Moises Caicedo? In today's latest reports, I'm here to break down all the transfer updates that you guys can't afford to miss out on. So I hope you guys enjoy, man. Let's get over 1,000 likes for today's video, and I'm about to break down tonight's latest reports. We start things off by discussing the latest surrounding Pep Chavarria, because I'm sure you're all in the same boat as me. Should this guy not be our player already? I remember discussing reports suggesting that Xabi Alonso was hoping to have the foundational pieces in the squad in time for pre-season already, and that should have been a centre-back. That should have been another defender joining alongside Marco Palestra. However, long story short, man, it seems like this is going to be another long window where small margins are going to make the biggest difference. Anyway, we get the update from Nazar Kinsella of BBC, and he explains why there's been such difficulties in getting this deal over the line. Originally, Chelsea felt like they could maybe sign this guy for around 12 million. They quickly realized Rayo Vallecano weren't having it. They came back again with a 50 million offer, which was also rejected, and in the end, Chelsea agreed to the 21 million that would, bring Chavarria here. However, that deal was structured with add-ons included. It wasn't the fixed fee amount all in one go, and Rayo Vallecano are saying adios Chelsea Football Club right now, because they've set Chavarria's demands astronomically, because he is currently protected by a ridiculous release clause, but it doesn't mean players are necessarily leaving for that type of money. However, their stance is now that unless Chavarria's release clause is met, which is £42.4 million, he ain't going nowhere. Now, it's been described as very complicated by multiple BBC report sources after Real made it clear they want the release clause paid in full. However, negotiations continue. We know that Chavarria has even agreed to reduce his wages to make this move happen. He said yes to Xabi Alonso. He said yes to signing for us. The personal terms have been agreed already. However, Rayo Vallecano are now using Marc Cucurella as a reference point in regards to why Chavarria should cost this amount of money. And it kind of baffles me, because I think when I looked at Rayo Vallecano's transfer history, I don't think that they've ever sold a player for more than, I think, £10 million or £8 million. So this would be like a record sale, which sums up a point I keep saying all the time. For clubs like Rayo Vallecano, it's not very often that their players are moving on to the highest levels. So Chavarria is definitely an outlier in these regards. But for Rayo, they're quoting and referencing Cucurella, and they're suggesting that his underlying numbers and statistic means that he's actually at a closer level to Marc Cucurella. And this explains why Xabi Alonso is pushing for this move, because he sees something in the player that others don't see right now. Let's see what happens here. Another interesting financial detail, that profitability also means Rayo Vallecano will be liable for a 25% tax charge on any additional profit generated from a sale, reducing the net value of any transfer fee received. So it does seem like maybe because of this tax fee, they want more money, but I feel like they're playing hardball to get us to kind of either agree to a better structure or increase our offer. So let's see what happens here. For someone that the manager really wants to work with, it can't be 2 for 2, no? It can't be no to Xhaka. Can it be no to Chavarria? Bro, I thought we'd be making serious moves for guys like Araujo, or even players like Lewis Hall, who, listen, I'm still got this like naive fascination for. Fingers crossed something happens for him, but I'm accepting it won't be happening at this football club. So the fact that we're even struggling to kind of complete a move like this, for me, man, I think it's because we kind of take the mick a little bit with negotiations. We start everything so low sometimes. It just takes too long for things to get finalized. And I feel like it gives more opportunity now for the selling club to kind of act up a bit. So right now, I don't know what's going to happen with this one. Let's watch the space, you guys. Let's see what happens, because in the meantime, as you guys know, I'm going through something big right now. My wedding's coming up very soon, 6th of September. The only stress I'm worrying about right now is that we got the Arsenal game the day before my wedding, man. It's going to be a long 24 hours in the run-up, But anyway, you guys, I can proudly say that I can happily go on this health journey as I am sponsored by Oxford Natural. And right now, I want you guys to kind of find out what I'm doing with Oxford Natural and why you guys are going to see a big transformation in me over the next few weeks. Right, boys, give me 1 minute of your time because I want to share something quite personal. I'm not sharing personal things about my life too often, but in the next 2 months, your boy's about to get married. I got 2 months to lock in to make sure my wedding photos are gonna look sexy. I don't want to be an old man looking back and just like scratching my head as to what I was doing in my life back then. I don't want to be in that position. So I'm doing something about it. I'm gonna document my health journey on camera, no hiding. You're gonna see it. So on screen, you'll see my blood tests, and I'm not gonna lie, it's looking a bit dark, it's looking a bit grim. I'm not gonna guess my way through everything, but I got my blood done by Dr. Andre, who literally came to my yard, and took blood right from that sofa right here. Right now, it seems like my cholesterol is fighting for a Champions League spot, and I'm trying to see it get relegated, bro. This is my starting line. I'm going to get retested to compare the results again so you guys can see exactly what's moved, which is where today's sponsors come in Oxford Natural. I'm currently using their Optimum Day and I'm using their Optimum Night supplements. I'm not going to gas it and act like I've been using it for months. I've only started using it this last week, and with supplements, you know that it's a long-term game. So don't think I'm selling some magic fix, yeah? Optimum Day is used in the morning to just regulate the start of my days, giving me that energy boost. And now because I'm banging gym, Optimum Night is what I use for recovery and sleep, which is why I take both together. In the morning, man, it's about the grind, working out and training. And after a long-ass day, I'm taking Optimum Night to make sure my sleep recovery is on point, because we know the best recovery is determined by the quality of your sleep. Bro, my wedding day prep is literally day and night. I'm not stopping. The names attached to Oxford Natural did really inspire me. Seeing Uncle Robbie complete his own health journey, lose so much weight. Michael Owen is an ambassador, and from Robbie to people like Linda, Anita, everyone's been on the same exact health journey. This isn't a quick fix. It's been the clinic side, it's been appointments, it's been the lot. So if you're like me, you're in your 30s and you want to optimize your health a lot more, you want to take it more serious, this is definitely worth a look, man. Scan the QR codes, click on the link in the description and use code BLTV to get 70% off your first order. No big promises for me, I'll let the supplements speak for themselves. So that's the word from the sponsor and Oxford Natural, Optimum Day and Optimum Night. I got 2 months left to lock in. You guys are going to see my journey as well. Yo, bro, I'm ready, man. Let's get it. In the meantime, we have updates surrounding Trevoh Chalobah because at one point it seemed like he was destined for Inter Milan. In the meantime, it seems like Como might have snuck in now and are ready to close a deal to sign him. A meeting is planned to finalize the deal. Now, it seems like we've dropped our asking price to 35 million euros, which I think is around 29.5 million pounds. It's still short of the 35 million pounds, 40 mil euros we were hoping to get for this deal. But I think this is a massive coup potentially for Como, because is this like an early sign indication that they're the new emerging power in Serie A that is here to disrupt the old dynasty clubs in the league? They signed Nico Paz for big money. They have Champions League football. They have an exciting project, an exciting owner, and an exciting manager in Cesc Fabregas. Is Trevoh Chalobah just catching his chips in early and he's seeing the future, and that future is Como? Because to be honest with you, I thought that Inter Milan would be the better move because of their legacy and the opportunities to continue to win. So this will be a massive level up for Como, and it's quite obvious that they've attracted Chalobah, probably not only for footballing reasons, but mainly lifestyle reasons too, because Como is an absolutely beautiful part of Italy. I've been there for my sister's wedding. If you guys are watching me, you'll remember this 2 years ago. But let's see what happens, because we did get some conflicting reports suggesting that we've now rejected 2 bids from Como for Chalobah, but I don't really know, right? I feel like I'm more inclined to follow the reports of Damasio, who is, in my opinion, better sources than Ben Jacobs. I think Ben sometimes can be a little bit slow behind the curve at times, even though I respect him and he's a decent journalist. But we have to see what happens here, because I'm getting a bit confused and muddled up right now. We know that Chalobah has to go, so we can kind of kickstart this domino effect to bring in his replacement. We've been waiting for that for a minute, and it seems like another player that could be important towards creating this domino effect is none other than Mamadou Sarr, because reports suggest that Sarr could be playing Premier League football next season. Ideally, the club want him to remain in the Premier League, and there's a chance that Crystal Palace could be the club that decides to make a move for him. Now, I've been kind of theorizing this for a long time. It just makes too much sense for me personally that Salah goes to Crystal Palace. I'd go one step further, you guys. I'd go one step further and I would sell Salah to Crystal Palace with a very favorable sell-on clause or option to buy in the future. That's what I am doing right now. But I just feel like we're waiting for Chalobah to be sold, we're waiting for Salah's future to be decided, and then Lacroix can become our player. I think it's been, working behind the scenes for a minute. We're keeping things under wraps, so we're not going to alert any other interested parties or clubs to get their unwanted attention, to make our lives even more difficult. I feel like it's slowly but surely becoming a thing right now. And we're keen for the 20-year-old to continue his development by getting consistent Prem football. And I'm sorry, man, I think Crystal Palace would be an excellent club to go to, even though it's a shame that he won't be working under Glasner, who I think would probably do a lot of good work with his kid, right? So Chalobah, he's close to leaving. He's close to going to Como at this point in time, unless Inter Milan come back. But Inter Milan weren't budging past paying 26 million for his services. And I think Como's plan of liaising with Inter Milan to ensure that there's no bidding wars that's driving the price up kind of works against us. Probably explains why we've kind of softened our stance, and maybe we're set to agree a 30 million euro move to sell him now that an agreement has been reached between Chalobah and Como. So let's watch the space, man. But I'm not going to lie, you guys, I just want some movement now. It's kind of dragging on a little bit. I want to see a new face. I'm greedy. I'm impatient, man. Hopefully, someone big comes in very soon. So in the meantime, my friends, is there one player that could surprise all of us and partner Moises Caicedo for next season? Let's break down the news surrounding this particular player. And we have updates on Manu Kone. You guys have heard my thoughts and opinions on him surely during the summer window, but Manu Kone is one of the most improved players in Europe. Did phenomenal work under Gasperini, and I just love managers like Gasperini, man, because they know how to elevate players and take their game to new heights. Manu Kone had so much threat carrying the ball. Yeah, being that point of reference. For me, he is like the French version of a Frankie de Jong. And I think he'd be a very fascinating player to potentially partner a Moises Caicedo and even Enzo Fernandez too. Because we are getting some interesting reports coming out suggesting that Roma are getting ready now to sacrifice their midfield star with both Man United and ourselves targeting Manu Kone. Now, there's a few bits of details to kind of understand surrounding this type of story. On one hand, Roma do have some financial difficulties, and I think recently they had to pay a 6 million euro fine for failing to comply with their settlement agreement due to their current dispute with UEFA. So for a minute, many clubs were hoping that Roma were going to be able to maybe sell up a big star before the month of June ended for accounting reasons, but it never worked out. The only thing that did work out, though, that the original asking valuation that Roma had for Kone, which I think was between 60 or 55 mil euros, has now dropped to 50 mil euros, which kind of signifies that Roma, they need some money. And Roma currently are looking to kind of upgrade that left-hand side. And they're talking to us about the double capture of both Garnacho and Diego Moreira. So is it me, you guys, or does it really feel like we could be seeing a potential domino effect here, a potential crossway transfer deal involving 3 players? Moreira going to Roma, and Garnacho going there, and Kone coming this way. I know for sure Kone is definitely leaving. I remember we had a lot of long-term interest in his services back when we had Christopher Vivell as our manager when Kone was playing for Gladbach. So is there an opportunity here materializing? Roma, as we know, they're negotiating a potential loan with an obligation to buy, a loan fee at around 4 million and an obligation around 26 million for Garnacho, but they want to sign Diego Moreira on a permanent move. And I think Blueco were quoting fees of around 41 million euros to sell Moreira. Now, I think he's a very interesting player. One of those guys where, you know what, he could have done something here for us in a squad capacity. I gotta say, squad capacity, especially as a wingback under Alonso. But some reports reveal that maybe Alonso wasn't too enamored with him and prefers other targets for that left-hand side. So listen, if Roma want to fund moves like this, yeah, they have to scratch our back too and allow us to potentially get Manu Kone in the opposite direction. And for me, man, this could be an excellent move. I'm kind of begrudgingly accepting the reality is that we don't have that type of money to splash. Now that players like maybe Enzo Fernandez might not be going anymore. Yeah, Cucurella's bounce. It seems like we might have priced out Malo Gusto. Or maybe Man City are exploring other targets and waiting for us to feel the pressure to drop our asking price. I mean, let's be serious, man. 75 mil for my ego, I like that, but the reality is it most likely won't be happening. I think maybe 50 to 60 million with add-ons, that could be something that takes that deal there. But outside of that, who is going to generate the big amounts of money we need to kind of splash that 80 million in Adam Wharton to compete for long-term target in Morgan Rogers, where tonight we're learning that Arsenal now are stepping up their interest to try and sign him. The reality is, man, we have to kind of be a bit more shrewder with our business. And I think Manu Kone could be excellent business for us to turn to. He's 26, he's got the experience. I thought he did a phenomenal job at the World Cup. I thought it was ridiculous that he didn't start against Spain. He was the perfect midfield player to use against an opposition like that. I think he's classy, he's a thinking man's defender. I feel like he's in that Kovacic, Frankie de Jong mode of player. But you could argue maybe he has a greater defensive reading in the moments. I think his understanding of how to kind of nullify attacks by just stepping up that 5 yards to kind of see where the danger's coming before it emerges, and then just completely just like put water on that fire. I feel like we could kind of have that complementary figure supporting a Caicedo where at times he is a holding missile that only sees the ball, wants to get the man, and he plays on that type of level, right? So he could be a very important balancing act. And interestingly, I think Manu Kone is kind of like that more developed, experienced Romeo Lavia. I think this was what we were hoping Lavia can become. And listen, he can still become that if pre-season works out okay. If he doesn't get injured, I'm still going to give Lavia one more chance. He's too young for me to just like completely ignore, right? But for this type of price, 50 mil euros, that's around what, 41 million pounds, for someone who's at the right age, great experience, all-round player, tactical qualities, and suits that central midfield role that I think Xabi Alonso would love, and I think could be that glue that kind of makes sense of Caicedo and Enzo. Listen, man, I'm not going to ignore this. I think with that type of carrying ability he has, I think Manu Kone could be a very shrewd piece of business. So news that initial talks now have taken place and we're exploring the possibility of making something happen. I'll be honest, man, I'm not turning my nose up to this type of news. I think this news is pretty interesting. And you'd think this is something we could get done more realistically compared to more grander ambitions for other mid-targets. So share your thoughts and opinions on how you're feeling around Manu Kone, my friends. Because in the meantime, we're going to end things with a final report. And in the meantime, my friends, I'm sure you guys have seen this, but we got some interesting reports currently surrounding Mohamed Salah. Now, they came from an outlet in Egypt. There's a bit of context surrounding this, right? Because you have to understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's bait that Mohamed Salah is talking to us, he wants to sign, this is where he sees his future. But the Egyptian reports reveal that essentially if Chelsea did show some interest, want to make something happen, Salah would be open to a move to continue his journey in the Premier League. So there's a lot of ifs, whats, maybes, and etceteras. But as reported by Al Haraya, who's talked about the 34-year-old's option since leaving Liverpool, there's claims that Chelsea could be the only club that could convince Salah to continue in the Premier League. Now, clubs like in Turkey, Besiktas, they're showing interest. Of course, Saudi clubs would love to have Mohamed Salah representing them as well too. I know what you guys are thinking, Nini man. The money this guy's on, there's no way we can afford that. But I think that if Salah wanted to really continue here, I'm expecting him to just take a massive pay cut. I think he's on stupid money. Forget his wages, just his investments, his sponsor deals. I think he's making like at least like a few mil a month easily. So to continue playing in the Premier League, I could see Salah considering something like this. And is there a bit of like a professional, like ego bruising type of thing going on here, where he never gave the best account of himself at Chelsea? I never thought it was really his fault though. I'm going to keep saying this, you guys, but I remember watching Salah playing for Basel and he just destroyed us. I watched his Europa League games. I was like, wow, this guy is too good for the Swiss league. Yeah. When we signed, I was like, wow, this is a big move right here. And I'll forever be disappointed by how he was wasted at this football club. I'm sorry, man. Not everyone who plays out wide is the same guy. Some players are better, yeah, carrying from deeper, playing behind the halfway line. Some players are better starting wide, operating in the pocket. Some players are better inverting. And some players are better when they're on the last lines, having access to direct service, being allowed to make runs inside the box, take shots, playing as that inside wide forward. Yeah, that was the player Salah always was. But at Chelsea under Mourinho, he used him as a defensive winger. It's why Cuadrado, that guy who had a phenomenal season and career in Serie A, also did nothing for us for some baffling reason. It was just too negative and never got the best out of no one. And we never played towards his strengths, which was to get it to the box, give him quick service and let him get on the last lines. We denied him that. We denied so many players their possibilities to play their best type of football with us because Mourinho's always encouraging sacrificing for someone else, right? So for me, this is why Salah didn't do good. But the moment he went to Fiorentina, could play his position, he made sense. And then Jurgen Klopp saw that, yo, this is the guy that makes my Gengen system come to life. Mane and Salah, we saw one of the best winger duos in Premier League history, in my opinion. Yeah. So if you're Salah, you're thinking to yourself, bro, I want to make sure that there's no little like stains of my career. Going back to Chelsea, potentially being that figure of experience, you know, that Estevals and Palmers and Kenders and everyone would just be listening to this guy. Yeah, he's a pro, he's a professional, he's a good role model. And I think for where we are right now, a team that's still nowhere near a Premier League title challenge, having access to this type of personality and experience could be an interesting thing. But listen, I don't see it happening. I think we're stacked in the right wing position already, to be honest with you. It's really for the left hand side that we could maybe entertain someone. So who knows, man, crazy things have happened. And now that it's coming out that Salah could be open to moving here, if we show some interest, could the club actually consider that now? So you guys share your thoughts and opinions on the latest reports today. I'm going to catch you guys tomorrow. Love.